state your name and spell your name for the record?
My name is Barie Goetz. Spelling of the first is B-A-R-I-E. Last name is G-O-E-T-Z.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Good morning, Mr. Goetz.
Good morning.
Would you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Barie Goetz.
What is it that you do for a living?
Currently, I'm still doing forensic consulting on an independent basis on criminal and civil cases, and I've been doing that since 2004 when I retired. I also am a part-time instructor at Penn State, where I teach courses in forensic science and criminal justice.
Before I get into your opinions in this case, were you asked to evaluate the trajectory of shots fired on Mr. Boyd on March 16th, 2014?
Yes, I was.
Before I get into what your opinions are, I'd like to ask you about your background. Tell me about your education as it relates to crime scene investigation and reconstruction, please.
Yes, I have a Bachelor's of Science degree in medical technology from the Pennsylvania State University. I have a Master's of Science degree in forensic science from the University of Pittsburgh.
Tell me about your experience in your work experience in the area of crime scene investigation and reconstruction.
Yes, ma'am. In 1978, I started with the Indiana State Police as a civilian employee assigned to the laboratory. I worked with the Indiana State Police until 1981, when I took a position with the Colorado Bureau of Investigation laboratory system. I was assigned to the Pueblo laboratory in Colorado. I had some limited responsibilities for crime scene processing when I was with the Indiana State Police, but I also but when I went to the CBI, I had a primary responsibility of processing crime scenes.
Have you ever had the opportunity to evaluate crime scenes then in those jobs?
Excuse me?
Did you have the opportunity to evaluate crime scenes?
Yes,
Do you still do that in your consulting work?
I do.
Can you estimate for us the number of crime scenes that you've processed in your career?
I made an approximation a few years ago of 250 crime scenes when I was working with the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, and that was in 24 counties in Colorado, so not just the 19 counties that my laboratory covered. And again, that is an approximation based on the average number of crime scenes that I would have worked in a month.
Were any of those crime scenes that you processed homicides?
The great majority of them were homicides. There were very few that were not.
Were you called in to help investigate the crime scene and reconstruction in the shootings at Columbine?
Yes, I was.
Tell me about your role in that.
I was assigned as the team captain for Team 1, which my responsibility was to process the library of the high school where 12 individuals were deceased. My team was responsible for processing about 2/3 of the physical space and about 50% of the number of deceased.
How did you come to be involved in the processing of that crime?
The Columbine crime scene was in the Denver metro area. At that time, I was a lead agent in the Pueblo area, but also we had a number of people who did crime scenes. We were asked to respond to Columbine as additional crime scene personnel.
How did you get to be team leader of Team 1?
I don't know. I wasn't part of that. I actually was standing there assuming that they would send some of the outlying crime scene people home when they picked my name.
In doing crime reconstructions, have you analyzed the same type of evidence in other cases that you've analyzed here?
Similar evidence, certainly.
Have you taught in the areas of crime investigation and crime reconstruction?
I have done some training with police departments in Colorado, normally an introduction type 1 day crime scene reconstruction, bloodstain pattern interpretation. I do cover it in my forensic science course that I currently teach at Penn State.
Have you ever testified as an expert witness in the area of crime scene reconstruction and investigation?
Yes, I have.
Approximately how many times?
In the 12 years that I've been private consulting, approximately 15 times. Prior to that, in the years where I worked for law enforcement laboratories, an additional 15 times.
How many times have you been accepted by a court as an expert in the field of crime scene investigation or reconstruction?
Approximately those 30 times.
Well, are you still doing private consulting work?
In May of this year, I announced my retirement from the private consulting and announced that on my website, and have not accepted new cases since then. However, I still have some pending cases that haven't reached their final disposition. So I do have some pending cases. However, I'm not accepting any new cases at this time.
Are you continuing to teach in the area of crime scene investigation and reconstruction?
I will at Penn State, yes.
Your Honor, at this time, the state offers Barie Goetz as an expert in crime scene reconstruction.
No, we object lack of foundation. Can I word out the witness briefly?
Briefly, yes.
Good morning, Mr. Goetz.
Good morning.
Mr. Goetz, my understanding is that you've not shot a rifle since 1969, right?
That's correct.
Okay, and my understanding is that you've never actually shot, well, that would of course mean that you've never actually shot the type of rifles that Mr. Sandy or Mr. Perez were using on the day in question, right?
Again, not since '69.
Right. In fact, you also don't know anything about optics or anything that would be used as far as, you know, for, let me see if I can get the specific words, scopes or optics. You're not familiar with them, are you?
No.
Do you understand that there was an optic device on each one of these rifles?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You'd also agree with me that previous sworn testimony in this case was wrong, wasn't it?
Excuse me, Your Honor, this is separate process, this is not going to qualifications of the experts. We would ask that these be looked at before the Honor.
With regard to the last question, I sustain that objection.
Okay. So, if I understand it, how many times have you been recognized as an expert in trajectory of rifle shots?
Specifically, never.
Okay. And that's what you were introduced as to this court today by the prosecution, right? An expert in the trajectory of these bullet shots, right?
I believe it was crime scene reconstruction.
Okay, so you would agree with me that you're not an expert in the trajectory of bullet shots, right? You're not an expert in that. You've never been recognized as one, have you?
Not that subfield, no, sir. But I've certainly used it in crime scene reconstruction for decades.
I see, sir. But again, you've never been recognized as an expert, and basically that's what you're here to testify to, is about where you think the bullets went, right?
Correct.
You've never been recognized before as an expert in that subset of where the bullets went, right?
Well, I certainly have that, yes, sir.
I thought you just said you have not been recognized as an expert in the trajectory of shots. You said not in that subset, didn't you?
You said high-velocity rifle shots or rifle shots.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about that. You've never been recognized as an expert in high-velocity rifle shots, have you?
Correct.
And that's because you're not one, right?
I'd have to have it defined better to whether I could.
Well, you've never even
answer
shot one in I don't know how many years that is, 70 to now, I don't know, 46 years. You haven't even shot a rifle, have you?
That's correct.
Okay. And you've never even looked through the scope that or the aiming device of these guns, have you?
That's correct.
Yet you want to come in and tell the court that you're an expert in where these bullets went in this particular case, right?
That's correct.
Okay, got it. Object for a lack of foundation, Your Honor, for this witness.
Your Honor, may I also briefly voir dire the witness on a different subject?
Yes.
Good morning, Mr. Goetz.
All right.
Now, you talked earlier about your training and experience in crime scene processing, correct?
My experience, yes, sir.
And the vast majority of specialized training that you've received relates to blood spatter analysis, bloodstain pattern interpretation, and serology, which is the study of blood serum, correct?
Yes, sir, the majority of my training.
And you'd agree with me that this case does not involve blood spatter analysis, bloodstain pattern interpretation, or serology, correct?
Not as it relates to what I would testify to, correct.
Nor does it involve crime scene processing, as that's normally understood, correct?
Correct, I did not process the scene.
And you agree that there is a difference between crime scene processing and investigation and crime scene reconstruction, right?
Yes, I would.
In fact, you have no specific training in the type of crime scene reconstruction at issue in this case, do you?
A specific course, I do not.
Instead, what experience you do have comes from attending Association of Crime Scene Reconstruction conferences and presenting cases at those conferences, right?
That and processing crime scenes, yes, sir.
But we just agreed that you did not process this crime scene, correct?
Correct, I was referring to the last.
And that there is a difference between processing a crime scene and reconstructing it.
Yes, there is.
Your Honor, we have the same objection for lack of foundation.
The crime scene reconstruction experience of this witness.
Sure. How does your background, training, and experience allow you, or what knowledge do you have that allows you to evaluate trajectory of firearm shots?
Well, certainly the trajectory of firearm shots or the trajectory of, for instance, archery weapons, which of course have been also used at crime scenes, is based on my experience, first of all, with firing handguns and knowing that when the bullet leaves the chamber, it normally travels in a straight line until it hits an intermediate object. And it also is affected by gravity, wind, etc., as it travels in that straight line. From my first crime scene back in the late 1970s involving gunshots, I was there at the crime scenes evaluating the damage done by the gunshots and attempting a trajectory based on the flight of the bullet that caused that damage or caused that injury. So crime scene reconstruction as far as firearms, I've been doing those since the late 70s. And some of those involved rifles. And in Columbine, there were rifles involved, not by or by both sides, both the perpetrators and the police officers involved. Since really the late 70s, I've been looking at crime scenes where trajectories were important from firearms and from long guns. And basic physics would indicate when you can say a trajectory is present and measurable, and when you don't have enough trajectory points or damage to definitely define the trajectory of the bullet.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to qualify Mr. Goetz as an expert in crime scene reconstruction. You may proceed.
Mr. Goetz, what did you review in this case in order to evaluate the crime scene?
What did I?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Or what types of evidence did you review?
I was provided the autopsy report of Mr. Boyd and the photographs taken during the autopsy of Mr. Boyd. I was provided photographs from the crime scene processing. I was provided a copy of the videotape from Officer Perez's camera, both in regular raw video and also in slow motion formats. I was provided the transcript of the interviews of both Officers Perez and Sandy. I was provided what I believe to be a portion of the Albuquerque Police Department's investigation report. I was provided with some forensic laboratory results, and I believe that's most of it.
How usual is it to have a video of an area you're investigating?
For me, this is the first crime scene that I've been involved in a crime scene reconstruction of, where there is a video of the actual firing of the weapons and hitting of Mr. Boyd by the projectiles. In the past, some videos that may show people walking to and from the crime scene, etc., but this is the first case I've had where a video actually depicting the series of events surrounding the shooting.
Were you able to determine, based on your reconstruction and view of the video, whether your reconstruction is consistent with what's depicted in the video?
Yes, it was.
Can you tell us first, what are your opinions about who fired the first three shots?
Yes, the first three shots that you see on the video are fired by Officer Sandy.
All right, and I'm going to stop you there. Where does the first shot go?
The first shot is fired actually across the frontal plane of Mr. Boyd. It does perforate at least the outer clothing on the right arm, perforates the different layers of the left chest of Mr. Boyd. There's 5 layers of clothing. It penetrates all the way to the bottom and actually damages the innermost garment. It then strikes a blue bag that you can see in the video that is slung over Mr. Boyd's left shoulder, and it has a strap that's holding it, and that blue bag also has a zipper top. And the bullet goes through that top portion of that bag and perforates it, meaning that it goes in and exits. It then enters the clothing layers on the left arm and perforates the left arm, meaning that it goes in and comes out. And of course, it has to go through the 5 layers of clothing when it comes out of the left arm. It then continues on that trajectory and strikes a large boulder that is there on the hillside.
All right, and Mr. Goetz, we're going to go through the photographs, or your reconstruction of this.
Leading or testimony on
All right, but so next, thank you, Aaron. Can you tell us where Defendant Sandy's second shot hit Mr. Boyd?
Yes, ma'am. The second shot fired by Officer Sandy strikes the right arm of Mr. Boyd, and in the video actually causes a deflection to the right arm upon impact. So it penetrated through the 5 layers of clothing and then perforates the right arm. In this particular case, it actually shatters the bone, and as the autopsy described.
Objection to comment on the autopsy, Your Honor, that's not part of his
All right.
expertise.
Sustain.
And we'll talk about your consistency and how you correlated it in a moment. But
Objection to her testifying right now, Your Honor.
Sustain.
where does Sandy's third shot hit Mr. Boyd? Or does it?
What, can I finish?
Oh,
with
yes,
the
I'm
second?
sorry. Yes, please.
The second shot perforates the right arm and then strikes the clothing on the right chest. And actually a fragment of the bullet adheres to the right front chest area. It then continues across the front of Mr. Boyd and also strikes the large boulder, the same large boulder that the first shot struck.
And where does Mr. Sandy's third shot go?
The third shot penetrates at least the outer fabric of the right arm of Mr. Boyd. It is not clear to me as to whether that bullet also caused damage to the right arm. However, it does go into his clothing, comes out of his clothing, continues on, and strikes the large boulder, but in a different location than the first two.
Were those the first three shots fired at Mr. Boyd?
Yes, they were.
Who fires the fourth shot at Mr. Boyd?
Officer Perez then commences his 3 shots.
Where does Mr. Perez's first shot go?
The first shot is fired at Mr. Boyd, who has been moving during the first 3 shots and actually rotating to his left and then starting
Like
to...
this, turning?
Correct. He's rotating to his left and also starting to approach the ground, leaning forward and going down to where he eventually comes in contact with the ground. Officer Perez's first shot then strikes Mr. Boyd in the lower back, travels through his body, through the armpit area, and is lodged in his, the bullet's lodged in his shoulder. The next 2 shots actually go over top of Mr. Boyd.
That's the narrative he broke up a little bit.
Where did the next 2 shots go?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Thank you.
where did the next 2 shots from Defendant Mr. Pettis go?
The next 2 shots go over the top of Mr. Boyd. As he's falling down, the shots go over top of him. They do not strike the large boulder that Officer Sandy's 3 shots struck because it's not in his line of fire. They rather travel, I would assume, some distance and then finally came to ground.
Now I'd like to go through the things and figure out how you know that. I'd like to show you States Exhibit A, B, and C. You mentioned earlier looking at photos from criminalistics. What are photos States A, B, and C?
What's the number?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. 57 A, B, and C. Are those the photos that you reviewed from criminalistics?
Yes, these are some of the photographs.
Did you rely on those photographs in your reconstruction?
Certainly, some aspects of the photographs I did, yes.
And are photographs from criminalistic scenes types of things that you regularly rely upon in reconstructing and processing scenes?
Yes, I examined tens of thousands of photographs.
Now, the state moves the admission of States 57A through C.
Rejection?
Take this back.
Your Honor, we have no objection to 57A. We have no objection to 57B. We have no objection to 57C.
No objection to any of those 2, Your Honor.
57A, B, and C will be admitted.
Thank you. Your Honor, may we have the podium Elmo on? Well, one of the things I didn't ask you in your review of evidence, did you actually go to the scene yourself?
Yes, I did.
I think it takes a minute to warm up here. Oh. There we go. All right. This is a photograph of the scene that you discussed in 57A. Can you see it okay there?
It's
Pretty,
not the clearest.
let's see if I can adjust it at all. Does that help or make it worse?
That's clearer to me.
There we go. We got some glare, but is that a photograph of the scene?
It is. However, now it's going dark.
Oh. Okay. Let's see. All right. I think I'm moving it too quickly. Do you have anything on your screen, Mr. Goetz?
I can see the exhibit tag at the bottom.
Yeah, there we go. Ah. There we go. How's that?
Yes, there's a delay in how it comes
Okay.
up.
Is that a photograph of the scene?
Yes, that is a photograph of the scene.
Now what I'd like to show you States Exhibit 57B. What is shown in this photograph?
This is the what I refer to as the large boulder that the three projectiles fired by Officer Sandy eventually struck. The orange tags would have been used by the crime scene processors to indicate their location, and they also designated them by number.
It's hard to see in this photo. The jury will actually get the original photo, but are there impact numbers on the rock?
There are. There's an I and then a dash and 1, 2, and 3. And I can't tell by this photo which one is which.
Okay. And then states 57C, is that same rock but without the impact indicators removed? With the little post-its removed. Can you see that?
Yes, it's a little darker, but I did examine the photo when I had it in front of me, and yes, that is the same rock.
Okay. When you went to the scene, did you observe the rock that's shown in these photographs?
I did.
Were there marks still on the rock?
The marks are still there. They are faded. I was there, I think 13 or 14 months after the shooting, and it is an outside environment.
They were there but faded, is that what you said?
Correct. They are still present, but they're not as crisp as you see them in the photographs.
All right. I'd like to now ask you, what did you think was the best way to reconstruct this scene? In terms of figuring out the sequence of shots and the trajectory of shots.
I was requested to attempt to determine which bullets struck Mr. Boyd and where. And based on that, knowing that we have an outdoor scene, we have one individual who was shot, we have two individuals that are firing weapons that eventually may or may not hit Mr. Boyd, I elected to, after reviewing the materials, coming to Albuquerque, going up on the hillside, and then repositioning those three individuals at the time of the 6 gunshots.
Right. We've been going about an hour and a half. Shall I keep going? I'm in a decent bathroom break.
I think the jury came in around 9, so I was
Oh,
hoping
okay.
to go at 10:30.
You got it. No problem. All right.
Unless anyone needs a break now. I don't see any hands.
Did you take photographs during your reconstruction that you just described?
Yes, I did.
I'd like to show you states 57D through Q and ask you if those are the photographs that you took when you were out at the scene, that were taken when you were out at the scene of the reconstruction, the stages of reconstruction.
Yes, ma'am, they are.
Do those photographs fairly and accurately depict the stages of your reconstruction as you were out at the scene?
Yes, they do.
Now, state moves 57D through Q.
No objection, Your Honor.
No objection, Your Honor.
States 57D through 57Q are admitted without objection.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Goetz, in 57D, can you tell us what you're doing there?
Yes, ma'am. I brought 2 tripods and 2 lasers with me to Albuquerque. This is one of the tripods with one of the lasers attached to the mount, to the moving head. I was given information that the 2 officers were 5'10", 5'11" inches tall. I'm in that same category. And so in order to approximate distance from the ground that the weapons would have been at when they were fired. I took a stance of where I would naturally hold a long gun, measured from the ground, and then set the laser at that same distance.
How did you determine where to set the tripod?
When we were on the hillside, we had our laptops with us that contained crime scene photographs, but also the video of the event. And by looking at the various vegetation and rocks and just the natural formations of that hillside, and again going back and looking at the video and the stills, we were able to see where the feet of the individual, Mr. Boyd, were, where Officer Sandy was standing, and then by looking at the video and the rock formation as Officer Perez moves up and then stays in that firing position, we could then show where Officer Perez was standing when he discharged his weapon.
You were going to stop it. I was going to stop you too. This is at what time are you evaluating? The time of the shots?
Yes, this would have been the position of both officers when they fire their weapon, and also the position of Mr. Boyd at that same time.
What is the distance from Mr. Boyd that your investigation revealed? How far was Defendant Sandy from Mr. Boyd at the time of his first shot, or the time of his shots?
I have some notes that list those distances.
Would it help you to look at those?
It would.
Sure.
Thank you. You asked me, Officer Sandy?
Yes, sir.
The distance from Mr. Boyd's right foot to the center of the tripod that represented Officer Sandy's weapon is 12 feet 9 inches.
Right. I'd like to show you 57E. Is this, tell us what we're looking at in 57E. Is that where Mr. Perez was?
Yes, this is a second tripod with a different laser. This is a black laser. The laser that I used at Officer Sandy's position was a silver-colored laser that produced a orangish red dot. This laser is a black laser on a separate tripod, and it projects a green laser beam, which produces a green dot. And again, using how I would have held shouldered a long gun, measure the distance, and we use the same distance for both officers to set the lasers on the tripod.
What was the distance that you measured between Mr. Boyd and Mr. Perez at the time of his shots?
That's approximately 29 feet from Mr. Boyd's right foot to the tripod, representing where Officer Perez fired from.
Now, on these tripods, what do you have? Do you have lasers? What are you doing with these tripods?
I'm using them as a means to hold the laser in a fixed position, but also have the ability to rotate that laser. The laser, of course, projects a beam of light in a very straight line, and you can place a target anywhere in front of that laser, and you'll see then a green dot indicating where that laser beam is traveling. And you can do that along the entire length of that laser beam until you can't physically put anything in front of it anymore. So by using the two different colored lasers, we could tell at any time by putting an object up that if the green dot was hitting it, that was the laser representing Officer Perez. If it was the orange-red dot, that was Officer Sandy.
You mentioned earlier that you watched the video of the shooting and in slow motion. Did you? When you watch the video in slow motion, did you create still shots at the time of each of the shots fired?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to show you State's Exhibit 48D through F and ask if those are the still shots that you created in watching the video of the moment in time when each of the shots was fired.
You said 48D through F?
I'm sorry, A through F, Your Honor.
But you said 48.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. These are stills from the video taken at the time of the discharge of the 6 projectiles.
Did these stills help you in your reconstruction of the trajectory and the shots fired in this case?
They did.
The state used 48D. I said D, it is E. 48D through F. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. They're just out of order. A through F.
Is A already in?
A is already in.
A's already in, I'm obviously not going to object to it.
Let me just double check my chart. Yes, A is already in.
But did I understand that the witness said that this was the actual time the shots were being fired?
That's my understanding. Stills from when shots.
Can I have voir dire the witness on that specific, because that's what they're being introduced as. Can I have voir dire just very briefly on that?
Yeah.
So, you are, if I understand this correctly, you are basing the time of the firing on sound?
Sound and also motion.
So you're basing it on, part of the reason why you're saying that this is when these pictures show a shot was based on the sound that you're hearing at the video. That's at least part of it, right?
Yes.
You would agree with me, don't you? Well, do you know how fast these bullets travel? Feet per second, sir.
I did look it up. I forget the number.
Is it close to 3,000 feet per second, sir?
Yes, it's very fast. Yes.
That is how many, 2 or 3 times the speed of sound?
Yes, at least 3 times.
It's at least 3 times the speed of sound, right?
Correct.
So when you hear the sound on the video, that's delayed substantially from when the bullet had already been fired, right?
Not substantially at that distance.
Well, a quarter of a second at least, right, sir? If you've done the math, you'd know that, right?
I came up with a much smaller number.
You come up with a much smaller number, and how did you do your math to figure that out for these pictures to say to this jury that these are an accurate reflection of when the shot was taken?
Using the speed of the bullet and the speed of sound, and then looking at the distance, the distances involved on the hillside.
Right, but did you ever analyze the difference between how much length in time it would be from the time the bullet actually is shot and the time that you actually hear it on a real-time situation? Have you ever figured out how much time that is in between that?
Yes.
Okay, what is that number?
I'm in the 1/5,000th of a second range.
Okay, and that is your expert opinion today that you're saying it's in with 1/5,000th. It's not a quarter of a second, sir. That's your expert opinion that you're telling this jury is a reliable opinion, correct?
It's definitely less than the 1/25th or 1/4.
No, you've already said to me now what the exact amount was, right? It's 1/5,000th,
Approximately
second?
1/5,000th of a second. Yes.
and you're saying that is your expert opinion.
The difference between the time it would take sound to travel versus bullet to travel that distance.
Okay, so you're saying the difference between the time it was shot to the time you hear the sound is 1/5,000th of a second. That's what you're testifying to today. Is that correct?
The
From the time it's shot to the time you hear it.
the bullet traveling and the sound traveling,
Okay.
so that when you hear the sound, the bullet has traveled that distance.
Okay. So here's my question, sir, because we're getting back to the pictures, and this is specific to these exhibits. You're saying these pictures articulate when each shot was fired, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so here's my question. Wouldn't you agree with me that from the time that either one of these officers actually pulled the trigger until the time you hear it is a quarter of a second? From the time that they pull the trigger to the time that you hear it on the video is a quarter of a second based on the speed of sound and the speed of these bullets. Isn't that correct? Do you know that?
Well, it's asked a number of times. I'd like for counsel to give the witness an opportunity to answer the question.
You're using two different things. There's the distance that the sound travels, and then there's the distance that the bullet travels. And this 1/4 of a second is the distance that the sound travels from the gun to the microphone.
You tell me, sir, what's the time difference between the time they pull the trigger and when you actually hear it? What's the time difference? That's what I'm asking you. Do you know?
No, I didn't measure that distance or that time.
No, then unfortunately, I'm going to object to all these based on the fact that he can't. If he's saying that's what it reflects, and he's saying it was based on the audio.
We concur on the same basis, Your Honor.
Okay, 48A through F will be admitted to show what this witness used as far as a point in time.
In addition to creating still shots from the video, did you look at clothing that Mr. Boyd was wearing at the time of the shooting for your reconstruction?
I did have an opportunity to look at his clothing.
Where did you get to look at his clothing?
It was at a laboratory setting at Albuquerque Police Department.
Were you given a long time with his clothing? How long were you given with the clothing?
1 hour and 37 minutes.
Was that sufficient for you?
No.
Who cut off your ability to examine the clothing for a longer time?
The individuals who were handling the evidence.
Where was the evidence stored?
I'm sorry.
Who were the individuals holding the evidence?
I assume they were employees of the Albuquerque Police Department.
When you had this time with the clothing, what did you do with it for your purposes in reconstructing the trajectory of shots?
I would have I started with the innermost item of clothing that was at least identified as the innermost item, which is a white short sleeve T-shirt. Took photographs of the front and back after I want to say reconstructing, but putting the fabric back to where it's in the original form, because these clothes have been cut off of Mr. Boyd, plus they've been damaged. And so rearranging them to where they would have been when they were one item, photograph them, and then we placed them on an individual to get a more three-dimensional aspect of where the damage to the fabric was.
I'm going to show you State's Exhibit R through U and ask you to
57R?
I'm sorry?
57R?
Yes, 57R through 57U. And ask if these are the photographs taken of the items of clothing that you're referring to.
Yes, ma'am. These are photographs of 4 of the items of clothing.
All right, and did you take more photographs of the clothing that I've given you?
Yes, I did.
All right. those back for me. Did you rely on these photographs in helping to reconstruct the trajectory of the shot?
Yes, I did.
United States moves 57R through U at this time.
No objection, Your Honor.
57R through 57U are admitted.
All right, 57R. Tell us, I think you just started to describe this, but what are we looking at in 57R here?
This is a white short sleeve T-shirt.
All right, and what is significant to you about this white short sleeve T-shirt?
This is reported as being the innermost garment on Mr. Boyd, and there is damage to the fabric, both on the front left chest and front right chest, in addition to the sleeves of the item. This damage is different than a damage caused by cutting the item off of Mr. Boyd, and it represents damage that would have been created by bullets striking the clothing.
All right. What are we looking at in 57S?
This is a long sleeve. I think it had what they refer to as a Henley collar. This was the second item of clothing that Mr. Boyd would have had on. This would have been over top of the white T-shirt.
Okay. And we'll go through these individually, but just have you identify them. What do we have here in 57T?
This is the next item of clothing. It's a black short sleeve T-shirt with a V-neck.
We can't see that V-neck very well here, but
Correct.
what do we see in 57U?
This is, again, a long sleeve, referred to as the Nissan shirt because it has the name Nissan on it, but it also has the red stripes. This would have been the next item of clothing.
I'd like to now show you 57V. Well, and let me ask you this. In addition to having the clothing laid out on a table and taking photographs like this, what else did you do with the clothing?
Again, we placed them on an individual who was within an inch and a quarter of Mr. Boyd's height and weighed about 24 pounds less than he did, just to get a more three-dimensional aspect of all these layers of clothing and how they relate to each other.
I'm going to show you States 57V and ask you, is that a photograph taken of the white shirt while placed, or tell me what that is?
Yes, ma'am. This is the white innermost garment, the short sleeve white T-shirt.
Did you rely on that photograph in your reconstruction to help assist in determining the trajectory of the bullets?
Yes.
Now the state moves into evidence 57V.
No objection.
No objection, Your Honor.
57V is admitted.
Did you also put what you referred to earlier as this gray and red jacket on a person?
Yes, ma'am. This is the red black with red stripe Nissan jacket or shirt.
What is? Are you able to see trajectory from analysis of that shirt in that photograph?
Yes, I examined the damage caused by the projectile on that shirt.
United States moves into evidence 57W.
57W is admitted.
I'd like to show you 57X. What is that?
57X is a Gap brand pullover hoodie long sleeve sweatshirt.
Is that another photograph that you took during your reconstruction of the scene involving putting Mr. Boyd's clothing on a person?
Yes, it is.
Your state moves into evidence 57X.
57X is admitted.
Now I'd like to show you 57Y. Can you tell me what that is?
Yes, ma'am. This is the same off-white, grayish, long sleeve, pull-over, hooded sweatshirt. That was Mr. Boyd's outermost garment.
Does that photograph help depict what you were evaluating in your reconstruction of the crime
Yes, ma'am.
or the scene? State moves into evidence, Your Honor, 57Y.
57Y is admitted.
I'd like to show you now states 57Z, 1 and 2. And ask you what those are.
Yes, ma'am. These are photographs not taken by myself, but taken by the police department of the evidence. This is the gray long sleeve hooded sweatshirt. That was the outermost garment on Mr. Boyd.
And are there bullet defects reflected on that sweatshirt that helped aid you in your reconstruction of the sequence of, or the trajectory of shots in this case?
Yes, there are.
Now the state moves into evidence 57Z1 and 57Z2.
Objection.
57Z1 and 2 are admitted.